we all know. It's called central nervous system and autonomic nervous system, we say. Central nervous system is like your brain with a spinal cord, the spinal nerves going out. All this is your central nervous system. Then there is an autonomic nervous system where everything goes by itself, autonomous, like your breath, your heart rate, digestion, all these things happen automatically. That is called autonomic nervous system. Again, this autonomic nervous system is divided into two things. We say sympathetic and parasympathetic. You must have heard of it, right? So when we talk about sympathetic nervous system, that means what? It is for your, both we need. Because sympathetic is what? It is for your flight and fright responses. So you see a tiger, first thing is what? You get scared, fright. Then you want to run, flight. Or you want to fight. So all three are mediated by your sympathetic, which is by your hormones like adrenaline, cortisol, etc. The problem in modern times is entire human life is perceived only in this flight and fright mode. That is why all this sickness happens. Because constantly, life is assuming things are in a state of a stress. Every single thing, some thought comes, immediate reaction is, oh, you get stressed about it. It could be a simple thing also. So what has happened is sympathetic overdrive is the reason for modern time diseases. So what we need to do is we need to balance the opposite, which is your parasympathetic drive. The parasympathetic drive is for rest and relax. That is your left nadi. We say left corresponds to the lunar or the moon or feminine energy, which is like cooling your body. This is like opposite of all the hormones which act on the parasympathetic, the vagus. Now we have lots of, talks about this vagus, how you can activate your vagus to activate your parasympathetic nervous system so that you are relaxing your digestion. Why do you think people are having so much digestive disorders these days? It's because constantly you're perceiving this as a sympathetic overdrive. So this is constantly active. The right side is, and you're analytical about every situation. So you need to balance both from time to time. That is very important. So that is why sympathetic and parasympathetic. So when right is dominant, what happens? Left is important. It is activated in the morning time, especially when you get up. Right is good. Then you're able to grasp things. Then your metabolism is started to kick off. Digestion happens well. Your elimination happens well. All these functions will go on smoothly. In fact, they say when your right nadi is good, you go to poop, you'll be able to poop better. When your left nadi is active and you go to poop, no, then what will happen? You'll be like, it will be incomplete. You want to go again to go and poop. But the best and easiest thing is like, you don't have to worry. There are techniques also where you can easily alter. Right? You must have also heard about this. It's very simple to change. If you're in a hurry, you are traveling somewhere, you need to really go poop. Oh, but still I'm not able to. So I want to shift my nadi so that I can poop easily. What you have to do, make the right nadi active. Take the opposite armpit. Press nicely. Either you can take like a pillow. You can press it tight. Then you can alter it. Or what you can do is, you take a breath in and then you hold the breath and then walk 80 steps. Exactly 80 steps you walk. Take a breath in, hold your breath and walk for 80 steps. Whichever side is clogged, it will get decongested easily. Then you can make the prana to flow easily. You can make the breath to flow easily so that you will have the automatic elimination, etc. So that much is the power of our breath entering into your nostrils. Imagine. Same is with left. Left also should be good. Because if you want to rest and relax, your digestion should be good. Your parasympathetic activity should be there. You can't be constantly here means then what will happen? Too much all indigestion problems, sleep issues, all this will happen. So you need to balance both. Both are equally important. That is why we say Surya Nadi and Chandra Nadi. But where is life in this? Because constantly you're in the struggle going between these two. They say when the breath has entered into your central nadi, which you can call it as Sushumna, whatever, that is when your life actually starts. Sushumna is where you're not fighting between these two. Between these two, parasympathetic and sympathetic fight has stopped. Your breath has entered into the central nadi. There are various techniques and things like that, all that we will look into. So now we understood like little bit, okay, where do we stand now? Maybe you can do this also. You can press, you see whichever whoever had a left, maybe you can press to see, change the nadi and see so that you can be attentive in the class. Otherwise, 50% only will go inside, whatever I'm talking. Right? Okay, good. So now let's see some few slides to understand a little bit more on our breath. Once we understand a little bit more on the breath and more on life, then we can connect. Okay. So in Western medicine, what do we say breath as? Breath means what? You're breathing in air, which means you're taking oxygen inside, and you're breathing out, which is carbon dioxide going out. It's very simple. But actually, what is happening inside is not that simple. It may look very simple like this. And which is the main organ which is doing? Starting from nostrils, it goes through your tube inside, which is like pharynx, we say larynx, voice box, then it enters into trachea, your windpipe, then it enters into your both sides of your lungs where it branches through bronchi, bronchioles, all this stuff we say, right? So this lung is doing two important functions. One, we call it as ventilation. Ventilation means, as you know, air entering, air going out. We say a room is well ventilated. That means we are having good flow of air inside and outside, isn't it? So that is called ventilation function. Then there is something called perfusion. What is that? The oxygen that has entered has to enter all the cells of your body. It can't just be in the circulation, isn't it? It can't be just be in the breath only. So this transferring of the oxygen from the air system into circulatory system is the perfusion. This is significant because there could be conditions where you can be having problems related to your ventilation, or there could be problems related to your perfusion. We saw during Corona times also how ventilation was affected for some people, right? So there are some conditions which can affect both also. So that is important. So breath going in through the nostrils, entering through the lungs, oxygen disseminating into the circulatory system, then getting absorbed. And we say normally we take about 14 to 20 breaths or 12 to 20 breaths is a range where people breathe normally, we say. And there are conditions where you can start to have fast breathing, isn't it? Like we talked about when sympathetic overdrive constantly, you're always breathing very fast. And because of that, what happens? There are so many things which get stimulated in the body, and then it can cause a series of reactions. So that is why it is important to first slow down your breath. If you want to lead a happy, healthy life, first is what? Take care of your breath. We'll just look at some slides. You made me host, na, Shivani, co-host?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now when we're talking about the life, in life, what happens is we are operating through certain levels each day. What are the levels in which you're operating on a day-to-day basis? When you look at it, your gross body, you're existing because you have a body. If life has to go on, you should have, first of all, a vehicle for this life, and that vehicle is your body. Then what happens? There are subtler levels in which you're existing. So, for example, let's take, you want to, in the body, some desire has come up. Let's say you want to eat a slice of pizza. So what happens? This mind will say, oh, okay, I love this pizza, especially at McDonald's and this place, pizza, wherever, whatever is so popular in your place, I want to eat that. But this intellect says, no, last time you went to the doctor said you have got issues with your sugar and cholesterol, so better be careful. Then comes your memory level. Memory says, oh no, but still I remember the cheese oozing out last time. I love that, crispiness. So I really want to enjoy that again. Then what is this ego saying? No, I have control over things. I can take care. I will eat only this much, little bit only I will eat. I know I can take care of myself. Or it can say, oh God, I'm always like this, I'm tempted to eat and then I will fall sick. So this ego can play both ways. And finally is your self, which is what? That is like a master sitting inside and watching this whole drama, saying that no problem. If you eat also, I'm happy. If you don't eat also, I'm happy. So this is how our life is operating on a day-to-day basis. Like where we have the gross body and then all the subtler realms or the subtler levels through which continuously there is a drama going on. So there has to be something which is going to take care of all these realms so that you stay in this what you call the last level, the self, where your life is experienced. Where is your life experienced? When you're established in the self, which means what? Where you're permanently joyful, enthusiastic, happy, grateful, compassionate. All these qualities start to manifest when you're completely established in this last level. Otherwise, what is happening through the five senses when you're interacting in a day? All these levels are non-stop fighting with you through your five senses. Suppose you're watching a movie. Oh, Netflix, fantastic. This is released this week. I have to watch this. Again, mind has started. Intellect says, no, no, you have to get to work tomorrow. Don't watch late night. Memory says, oh, no, last week I left at that particular point. Oh, it's very interesting. I have to watch and finish it today itself. Then again, ego says, no problem. I will watch and still get up in the morning. I can do that. So this is the fight because these five senses are making all these levels go back and forth, back and forth. And what happens over a period of time, these sensory inputs are like, accumulating in the body and we call it as a allostatic load in the body. This allostatic load is present at every single level of your existence. At the body level, it can manifest as diseases. In the mind level, of course, it affects your mental health. Then at intellect, where your discerning capacity is lost, memory, you're stuck in already the negativity only. And ego, because of that strong ego, either you can express it as anger or either it can go into depression. So we are constantly affected by this allostatic load. So there has to be something which has to connect all these levels to say that, okay, if I can only clean up all this every single day so that I remain in this state of life, where I can remain in the seventh level or the self, whatever, how can I remain there and be there happy? Where I can experience life, there is that connection which we call it as, okay, what is that? That is your breath. See, how do you know that all these things are existing in the gross body? Only because you're breathing, isn't it? Only if you breathe, you will know that all these things are existing, all these things are happening inside me. That is why we said no breath, no life. If there is no breath, anyway, all these layers are dead. There is anyway no use, no problems. So breath is a connecting link between all these things. That is why it's important that we understand how this breath works, like we saw how inhalation, exhalation happens, how ventilation, perfusion happens, and then how oxygen entering, it goes into the blood circulation. All this is very important. And also one more very interesting is, as regards the breath, if you look at it, it is under the control of both voluntary and involuntary. We said autonomic. Autonomic is what? Through your sympathetic, parasympathetic, it's going on automatically. Your breath is going on. You don't even know. Even when you're sleeping, you're breathing, isn't it? But at the same time, you also can voluntarily control your breath. Like, for example, you're learning music. The teacher is saying, like, when you're singing at particular stage, you need to hold your breath. Or he'll say, let your breath go and then sing. Or when you're learning to play an instrument, isn't it? Like flute. So many instruments, wind instruments, when you play, you learn how to take care of your breath, isn't it? That is why it's good that it has got also voluntary control besides the involuntary. Because in involuntary, the problem is what happens? It is always based on your changes which are happening, metabolic changes we say in the body. Suppose you have eaten heartily so much food. After digestion, what happens? Everything will get converted into carbon dioxide, water, and energy, we say. If that carbon dioxide is too much in the body, that is time your pH will get altered. We say acidic. Acidic body means what? Too much of, not just only food, even if you're consuming too much. Like we talked about now, five senses. When consumption is too much, what happens? The pH turns acidic in the body. Then what happens? When the pH is acidic in the body wants to compensate that. So it will take a faster breath because it wants to wash away this carbon dioxide which has accumulated. So when you do a faster breathing, again the sympathetic system is stimulated. So it will get signals to the brain. So it will release adrenaline, cortisol, heart rate will increase. Then again more. So it's like a vicious cycle. So this involuntary is going on anyway. But for you, if you want to really slow down, then this voluntary control center is very helpful for us by various ways. Like we said, singing or learning instruments or even doing breathing exercises. All this can help you to slow down your breath so that you start to experience this life. And again, it depends on the type of breathing that you do. Like generally, people are in this top category, shallow breathing, where what happens is actually the abdomen is contracting. When you breathe in, actually your abdomen should expand. Instead, what is happening here is abdomen is contracting when you are inhaling. And the clavicle, everything, we say, no, the collarbone. The collarbone is what? Raised here. And it only the air reaches upper regions of the lungs, that's all. Many people, they say at least 90% of the population is only doing sectional or clavicular breathing, we say. And some people, maybe a little bit more, they can expand their chest so that they are pushing the air into the middle lobes. Then the third variety is very less people still, where you have the proper, you expand your abdomen in inhalation and expand and then you contract in exhalation, where it is close to the lowest part of the lungs. Very rarely people use all the three together to breathe well. Very few percentage of people in the world actually do this. That is why we say we are hardly utilizing our lung capacity to the fullest. Because as I said, again, people are stuck with the sympathetic overdrive, which is again because of constant five sensory inputs going on, which is increasing the allostatic load in the body. So the body is like pH is altered and it wants to send out carbon dioxide. So it chooses always a fast mode of breathing. Now that we understood little bit of the breath as a concept in the Western medicine, whatever has been explained, right? So now we need to understand what is life. Then we can explore a little bit more deeper. There are lots of definitions. You can look into, Google will give you a lot of definitions about life. But what all these definitions, whether it is scientific or philosophical, they agree on these four things. If you say there is life in a particular living organism, that means what? It should be replicating, means it has to multiply. Metabolism, of course, has to happen. Evolution has to happen. And energy should be there. These are the four criteria which we can say when there is life. Even in a virus, all these things are present. In a bacteria also, all these are present. So when we say life, when we say living organism, including human beings, that means life is there, means all these four things have to be present. So when we talk about energy, let's say, there is a beautiful terminology to say that there is energy. What is that called? What do you call that as? It's very simple. Don't have to get so much like,
Is it
when I
prana?
say that, sorry, Julia?
Is it prana or chi?
Yes, very good. So it is prana, right? So what is prana? Prana means it is that energy which is pervading in every single particle of this, whatever planet or earth or whatever entire cosmos we can say. Everything which is breathing or living means there is got prana in it, the energy, which is all pervading in the cosmic energy, we can say. And the energy of the prana is very subtle. That is why we are not able to see or measure it. But good thing is the outer manifestation of this breath, outer manifestation of this prana is breath. That is why we can measure your breath through inspired air, expired air, inhaled air, exhaled air measurements. All these things are able to do. But prana as such, we have not been able to measure as of now. But Vedic texts, of course, talk about prana also can be measured. They have measured, they say, even an inert substance has got a mild prana in it. When we talk about human beings, they say 9 to 16 units of prana are present in human beings. Which means what? When you're having, let's say, 12, 13, 14, that means you're already living life to the fullest potential. What we saw as the self, already where you're joyful, enthusiastic, contented, peaceful, compassionate, all these qualities are present in you. If it starts to drain, if it has gone to 9, lesser than 9, that's the time you start to feel low energy, we say, no? When you start to feel like, oh, little depression comes, anxiety comes, negativity comes, frustration comes, jealousy comes. These are all nothing but this unit has gone down. And when it reaches minus, that's the time people have suicidal tendencies. When the prana has gone to minus, then people tend to have suicidal tendencies, we say. So it is like charging your phone. Every day we are charging your phone for, 30%, 40%, 100% you want to charge. Same way we have to charge to keep ourselves at 9 to 16 units. And it's possible, very much possible. We look into all of that, right? So it's also called pra means first unit. Na means energy. So it's a unitary, first unitary energy. That means it has been present. They say like, when people talk about how this whole thing came about, life came into this planet Earth, they say prana got exploded from this space element. And that is why it's called the first unitary. So prana is everywhere outside. You can derive the prana. One such source is breath, as you can see here. The other sources we all know. You eat a good food, you get good prana. Water you need for your prana. Sunlight you need. Sleep you need. Exercise you need. Relaxation in any forms you need. All these are different sources of your prana. But what is the most important is breath. Why? Because you can be without food for a while, water without a while. You can live in a cold place without sunlight for a while. But can you be without breathing even for a millisecond? You can't be, isn't it? Because it is one of the outer manifestations of prana, the breath. Now, let's say, for example, you're taking a breath in. We said oxygen has entered, isn't it? So, not only oxygen has entered, the prana has also entered in its subtlest form into the system. Now, this prana which has entered, it has got several functions in the body. So, where we talk about as 10 functions are there. So, we classify it as 5 major and 5 minor, we say. So, the 5 major pranas, what? That is why we say breath is not only for your lungs, not only for your respiratory system. It takes care of your entire body. All the organs in your body are taken care of by just a simple breathing exercise or a breathing technique, whatever. So when you look at this prana entering through the breath, first it goes as upward moving air. It's called udana. Udana means upward moving. What is it? What is its importance? It is the one which is giving you the prana for your speech, enthusiasm, to take efforts. All this is because even your ability to stand tall, straight, that comes from udana prana. When people say, no, I am not able to get up, that means they should know that somewhere this udana prana is affected. Or if they have issues related to their speech, they should know the Sudana prana is affected. So upward moving. The entire life is what? Starting to move upwards. That's when your enthusiasm, everything. So when you look at your psychological level also, it is important to develop and evolve in consciousness. Then opposite of it is what? Which is going downwards. That is apana. The apana prana is what? For all your elimination and reproduction. If you want to pass urine, if you want to pass stools properly or sweat properly, if you want to like have a childbirth properly, all that is important for your apana prana. Even elimination of carbon dioxide properly out of the body. At a deeper level, if you look at it, elimination of even your negativities from your body. All the deeper experiences, all the negative experiences, emotional experience, all this has to go out, means apana has to work well. And also it's very important for your immune system. If your immune system has to work well, know that your apana prana, you have to take care of your apana energy. Then we have samana. Samana means, balance in the middle, we say, balancing air. So it is moving from periphery to the center, we say. That means it's very important for all the digestive functions. All the gastrointestinal tract has to work well, or even in the lungs, if it has to digest the air properly and absorb the oxygen, it is very important. And the mind level, it is for all again to digest the sensory experiences, emotional, mental, all experiences to be digested properly. Then there is an interesting word, prana itself, they call it pranavayu itself. That means it's a forward moving because it moves inward. All, it is like eating to drinking, inhaling, all sensory impressions, all this, it's propulsive. That means it's moving forward nature. The prana. Prana means it's the one which is moving continuously inside your body. Then finally we have the Vayana Vayu, which is outward moving air, which goes from center to the outward periphery. It is for all circulation basically. If the digested food has to move, the nutrients have to be absorbed and moving in the circulatory system. It helps movement of water, oxygen all through the body. This is the Vayana Vayu. They say the Vayana Vayu is last to leave the body when you die. Then we have some minor pranas which are taking care of the small day to day. Like they call it Naga, when you have like hiccups or belching. Kurma means like when you want to open your eyes, you need that Vayu, air to move. Or like you are twitching in the eyes, no, when eyelid twitches fast. That is but Kurma. Krikara means hunger and thirst. Devadatta means yawning. When you have to yawn, you need certain prana. That is called Devadatta. Dhananjaya means finally the decomposition of the body after death also needs a little bit of prana. That is called Dhananjaya prana. So these are the pranas. So remember that not just oxygen is entering your body. These all pranas are going inside your body and working at different levels, different organ systems so that you're kept healthy and you can experience life. And not only there, the prana is needed at all these levels also. At your mind level, buddhi level, chitta level, ahamkara level. All these levels also prana are needed. That's why we say when the prana is low, all the negative things are coming in your thoughts, are coming in your mind. Same when the prana is not well, what happens? You're like able to analytical capability is lost. You do not know. Some people, they do something wrong, no? They are not able to analyze the situation. They get into trouble because of that. Or memory, again, stuck in certain things. When prana is low, what happens? You're stuck in some negative memory all the time. And same is with ego, like aggression. Manifestation of ego in the form of aggression, it can come out when the prana is less, or it can go into depression. So both ways are possible. So all these are prana pervading not only at the body level. At body level, it is doing these 10 functions. Even at the subtler levels, prana is needed. That is why when you take a breath in, what is happening, as I said, it's a connecting link between your gross body and all the subtler levels of your existence so that you reach that last yes, where your life is there. Now, as we talked about the voluntary, I can change things. Okay, now I know I'm having this problem. I know my problem is like at mental level or physical level. Now I want to correct myself. Now I know there is involuntary, voluntary control of my breath. So when I'm doing voluntary practice, that is called as pranayams. We talked about singing or learning instrumental music or learning breath work. Learning breath work is nothing but pranayamas. Prana we all know now. Ayama means what? It is expanding that prana. Instead of getting stuck at one place, you are able to expand that prana to go to wherever it wants to go. Suppose it is stuck at samana level, I can do certain practices so that I open up the samana. Or if it is stuck at the udana level, I can expand the udana. That much is possible by doing pranayama practices. That is why we call it as ayama, expansion, or even giving direction or controlling your breath. You're keeping it under your control. We say, no, a lot of saints or yogis who practice for long periods of time, they're able to control their breath. Instead of 14 to 20 breaths, they even keep it only 2 breaths a minute. Imagine. With that 2 minutes, they'll be able to voluntarily take care of all these pranas, 10 prana functions, all their body, intellect, mind, intellect, everything they can take care. That is why, the greatest scientist and philosopher and a doctor, I would say, is Patanjali. He was one of the brilliant, I would say, scientists who has lived and walked this planet Earth. So he actually said he gives a lot of yoga sutras, like small couplets he talked about. In that, he said the first 4 limbs are for the bodily level. That is why it comes under some schools of yoga. They say it is coming under hatha yoga or physical path, where you have to have certain restraints called yama or niyamas, observances, or you can do some yoga practices, postures, and pranayama is a breath control. Once you're set with this, only then you can move to the next four limbs to experience life. What we are talking about as life, isn't it? Now here we are talking about life. We want to experience life means you need to first get established in the first four. Only then you can move to the pratyahara, which is sense withdrawal. Like we talked about this Netflix and the pizzas, you want to get slowly away from it. You first have to take care of this first four. Then comes dharana, concentration, dhyana, meditation, and then finally the samadhi state or superconscious state where you are completely established and living life to the fullest. That they call it as Raja Yoga, royal path. So pranayama comes under the first four, this one. Now, in pranayama itself, okay, now I understood I have to do some pranayamas. Okay, let me go and sit in a place and start breathing. That also will not help you. You need to know how to breathe. Only then you can actually harness all these 10 pranas, which we talked about. So that is why all these four levels are important, where we call inhalation, called puraka. Holding the breath after inhalation, that is antar kumbhaka. Exhalation, rechaka. Holding the breath after exhalation is also important. Bahya kumbhaka, we say. Bahya means outside, right? So all these four factors have to be taken into account. Only then your pranayam is complete. Only then your voluntary breath is complete. You can't just like that say, okay, I'm breathing. You will not see benefits. You have to be under the guidance of somebody and then start learning and then doing. Then you will start to see the benefits coming. Then what is important? Two factors you have to look at when you're doing this pranayams. One is we say dirgha. Dirgha means the length of the pranayama and the ratios which you follow. Like for example, inhalation, I can take to the count of 2. I will take for 1, 2, 3, 4. Then hold also 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out 1, 2. I mean hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4. After exhalation, again I hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. That is similar one. So that is called samavritti pranayama. There are certain pranayamas which when you do in this ratios, it is very good. In fact, samavritti pranayama is very good for your calming the mind. When you have some agitation going on, you practice samavritti pranayama, it helps a lot. Then vishamavritti pranayama, that means what? Unequal lengths. See, inside, I mean, taking the breath in, maybe you can do 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding the breath, maybe you do for 8 counts. Then you breathe out to the count of only 4. Then you hold only for maybe 2. So there are different counts for inhalation, holding, exhalation, and holding after exhalation. This called Vishamavritti pranayamas. This is again useful for suppose lot of, we talked about acidity is built up in the body. You're having lot of, acidity related issues. Then you can practice this, or fire element is gone out of order or kapha element is gone out of order. Based on that, you can choose these ratios. But again, they should be done under the supervision first. Initially for few days, you'll be under the guidance of either a trained yoga therapist or somebody, and then do it. But you'll see tremendous benefits. Then second is sukshma. Sukshma means what? Depth in which you do. Subtle. Your breath should be subtle and deep, not like it's like just taking a breath in like fast. No. Then there is no, you will not see any benefits. Oh, my teacher has taught me I have to do pranayama, so let me sit in a corner. I don't have time. I'll do faster. That is not going to help you. So there should be depth in your. Depth means what? There is absence of any fluctuations in your thoughts. It is like, you go deeper into the sea, only you experience that silence, no? When you do scuba diving or doing whatever, you go deeper inside, you experience that silence. There are no thoughts, nothing. Similarly, your breath has to go deeper. The subtler it goes, then the subtle effect of prana starts to manifest in your body. That is why all these factors are very important. Not only just that, it is also important that practice of pranayama includes desha. Desha means not the place where you go and do. Maybe I do in USA or UK. No. It is place where your mind is focused. That is important. Then kala is time, the duration of breathing cycles. That is also important. Maybe some you can do for 8 breaths, some you do for 10 breaths, some you do for 20 breaths, right? So that is Kala. Then Samkhya is number of cycles also. And other beauty is pranayama can be done along with yoga. Like in certain postures, when you do, you can do pranayama along with that. Or you can do it along with mudras. Mudras means what? They are gestures. Like we say, this is victory sign, isn't it? This is a symbol or a gesture, we say. So there are certain mudras. Mudras means like you close, let's say, for example, my index is touching the tip of the thumb. This we call it as chin mudra or jnana mudra. Like you place it on your lap and you take long, deep breaths. That means what? You're able to absorb the knowledge. So that is mudras. So you can do it along with the mudras. There are various mudras you can do. Then mantras. People do mantras along with pranayams. Like some people do Gayatri mantra, Ganesh mantra. There are so many. You can focus on the breath along with the mantras. Or you can do it with bandhas. Bandhas means like locks. Like, see what happens. You take a breath in, you want to harness that prana energy inside you. So you do the locking. You seal the lock and then you do. Right? There are various types again, we say. Jalandhara bandhas, then Udyana bandha, Mula bandha. There are so many locks you can apply. And then again, this all should be learned with a trained instructor and then you can start practicing. Then when you look at the types of pranayams, so many types of pranayams are there. We call them based on the heating pranayams, cooling pranayams. See, depending on the body types, what is your major problem? Accordingly, then your doctor can advise what type of pranayam you should choose for your body. Some are like heating pranayams. Kapalbhati is like heating pranayam because you need that for detoxification of your liver and gastrointestinal tract. When you want to metabolize your food well, when your digestion should be good, if you even want to lose weight in your abdominal area, you can do Kapalbhati pranayama. Or you can do like a Shitali Shitkari, they are cooling pranayams. In fact, when you have high fever, you can do Shitali Shitkari pranayama to bring down your fever. So like that, there are heating pranayams, cooling pranayams are there. Ujjayi. Ujjayi is like a breath of victory, we say. Many people must have learned that also, right? And of course, Sudarshan Kriya is the top amongst all the pranayams, I would say, because it's one of the best rhythmic breathing exercise. This is the best vacuum cleaner for your body. I would say it pulls out all the toxins from your every cell of your body. And then you're able to experience that, the last level, the self or whatever you call the life, where your life exists, all that you can. Of course, you can with all the other pranayams also, no doubt. But Sudarshan Kriya is like a topping, icing on the cake, we can say. Yogic breath also equally good. Yogic breath is what? It's a combination of what we saw earlier, right? The clavicular plus the chest, thoracic, and the abdominal. So when you breathe in through your nostrils, you balloon your abdomen, then balloon your chest, and then balloon the upper portion of your neck. Then when you breathe out, you do the opposite. First, deflate your upper portion, rib cage, thoracic cage, and finally the abdomen goes inside. This is the yogic breath. Yogic breath has got immense benefits. So many athletes world over have vouched for it. Many athletes practice this yogic breath because it's a deep breathing, isn't it? When you're breathing deeply, correctly, you're making the diaphragm to work well. Many people don't pay attention to their diaphragm at all. You go to the gym to, work out your external muscles. You need to work out your diaphragm muscle in the body, which is actually helping you to throw away all the toxins. See, your toxins are thrown away through various routes. Through your urine, it goes. Through your stool, it goes. It goes through your tears. It goes through your saliva. It goes through your sweat. But what is the most important? Every millisecond, your toxin is thrown out in your breath. That is why it is important. Pay attention to your breath. Then automatically, all these layers will get cleansed. That is why pranayama is one of the best, I would say. Each and every one of us should practice. And I don't have to now, so many, what you call evidences have come supporting pranayama. Before that, we'll see how this pranayama is very effective is because it is acting through these mechanisms. Maybe you may not, catch on to these words. You don't have to worry. This is how the pranayama works in the body. Activation of mechanoreceptors. Chemoreceptors means through the chemical reactions. These are like a physical reactions, chemical reactions working in respiratory system, circulatory system, finally in the brain. Then cerebellum is one part of the brain at the back. Then limbic systems we say, and finally the cortex, which is like the newly developed. It's called neocortex, which means it's able to know this particular thing has happened, so I should accordingly adjust. That's why various pranayams they do, they act at different levels. And that is why you see the benefits, whether in Samana Vayu, in Udana Vayu, or Apana Vayu levels, you'll see the benefits because it is at different levels it is acting. All these benefits anyway, more than this are there. Some of the scientific benefits I just put here for completion's sake. Decreasing stress, improving sleep quality. In fact, when I talked about yogic breath, this is one of the things. Insomnia will get cured if you do yogic breath. And I personally have experience. While I was in the Middle East, I used to teach a lot of Arabic women who had a lot of post-traumatic stress disorders. Invariably, after the class, when I've taught them the yogic breath, within a week to 10 days, and I've seen 100% of the women come back to report saying that they slept like a baby. Because the beauty of yogic breath is like you can lie on the bed also and do it. You simply have to focus. In fact, with practice, what happens? You start with second breath, third breath, you'll be fast asleep. Maybe even you're snoring, your partner only will tell you. You have slept really well. It is that powerful, the yogic breath. Right? So for sleep, it is very, very good. And reducing blood pressure. Again, some of the cooling pranayamas, Shitali, Shitkari, you know, Brahmari. Brahmari pranayama is like a making sound of the bumblebee. That is very, very good to reduce your blood pressure, migraine headaches. These are all proven studies. And of course, lung conditions, we don't even have to say all your lung conditions improved. We have enough stories during COVID times, isn't it? Many people recovered after doing practices. In fact, I want to share my own experience, not only for COVID. Much before that, I want to say that I have a family history of allergies and asthma, but personally, I have never suffered much while I was in India, while I was growing up. But when I moved to the Middle East, I had real issues with that because dry desert climate always favors a lot of allergies. So I was also one of that where I was affected. And in the first few years, it affected my quality of life really badly. And of course, like being a doctor with, that scientific temperament, those days I was not too much into yoga, etc. Though I used to love, but I know I was always giving excuses not to do the practices. So I used to keep popping all these antihistamines, and putting some sprays into my nostrils, etc. Then it worsened that it became so bad. I had an attack of asthma once and I had to be hospitalized. And that's around the time in the early, late 90s and early 2000. My husband had done actually the Sudarshan Kriya. So he was very impressed by it and he said, like, why don't you give it a shot and see? I was very reluctant initially, like, oh, that's not for me. Actually, it's like, okay, when I have time, I'll do it type. But then, okay, I remember the teacher, she told me, like, okay, doc, I understand your, what's your dilemma? See, instead of using your inhalers, just do this practice for 40 days. Like, imagine that you're taking this medication. Similarly, you do this practice, she said. Okay, that sort of clicked with me. I said, okay, that sounds interesting. So let me do it. So then I learned the program and I did the Sudarshan Kriya. And I was very diligent in my practice for this first 40 to 45 days. I didn't miss a single day. And I'm not joking. It completely transformed my allergies, which I was suffering for the previous 3, 4 years. I came out of it completely. And touch wood till date, though I just keep, for an emergency, I just carry an inhaler with me. But otherwise, I've never had to use in the last 20 plus years. I have been practicing Sudarshan Kriya and, of course, the other pranayams. In fact, that prompted me to more and more delve into it, to understand it better. And I wanted to take it to the actually people. And after this, I've taught several people who had allergies, people who had like this blood pressure issues, or whether they had some anxiety issues. Believe it or not, all these pranayams are really, really good. And I tell you, it will make a huge difference in your life. So all this, and then it reduces tobacco cravings. So people who are smokers, there are specific pranayams they can do. That will help. And reducing circulating free radicals. This is interesting because now this has been linked to so many of your lifestyle disorders, like whether it's your diabetes or pre-diabetes, or whether it's your cholesterol issues or obesity issues, PCODs. All this, they say, is because of this free radicals accumulating in your body, which we talked about as allostatic load. Remember, this is that. So when you do pranayama practices, it reduces this. These are all, I put actually the ones which are significant evidence. Significant evidence has been found for all these. Improved grip strength. In fact, people who, elderly people who practice pranayams, they found even their grip strength and tone improved, it seems. Yeah, in the muscles. So these are some of that. Okay, so what I want to say basically is like now we understood what is life, what is breath, whether in terms of the Western medicine, what it says, and what it is equivalent to of it is prana, how prana can be harnessed. It's not just only at your respiratory system, it is traveling to all over your body to take care of all the systems in the body, gastrointestinal system, your immunity system, or whether it is your urinary system. Every system is being taken care of by this prana, of which its outer manifestation is a breath. It's as simple as it. You think you're just breathing in. No. Remember this next time when you take a breath in, actually you are taking in prana. You know why? It is said that in ancient, ancient times, people used to revere prana. Prana was really revered like a god. In fact, very interesting, when I was reading history of prana, it said that people never even prayed to God. They used to pray to prana because that was what is pervading the entire cosmos. From where you have to really take that source, isn't it? So one such source is your breath. But what all it can do, imagine when it goes inside your body. In fact, for human beings to have life in their body, they say the driving force is what? Not to breathe in, actually to breathe out. Why? Because they want to throw out carbon dioxide. The driving force, remember, in Western medicine, this is proven that any human being is breathing not because he wants to take more oxygenation. He wants to throw out carbon dioxide. It's a very interesting thing. The more the carbon dioxide is thrown out, the more better oxygen will go inside. This is actually the truth. So that's the driving force. In fact, spiritually very interesting, Swami Vivekanand, he has said, it seems there is a story he has shared. He said once there is in the kingdom, one minister was, imprisoned because he had done something wrong. The king put him in jail. So this minister was very affected by it. He called his wife and he said, you bring 6 things for me. So the wife was surprised. What are the 6 things that you want? He said, go and get me a beetle, get me one silk thread, get me one like a string, and then get me one, like a twine, like there is a twine cotton thread, no, that one, and then a rope and honey. 6 things you bring. So she was surprised. Anyway, she said, okay, my husband is asked. So he's when she reached there, he said, okay, do one thing. He was in a tall tower. So he's talking to her. He's saying, do one thing, take the honey and put it on top of the beetle, paint it, and then try this silken thread and then allow the beetle to climb up. Then at the end of the silk thread, you tie this string, then you tie the twine, and then you tie the rope. So this beetle started to crawl up. She was wondering, why is he asking me to do all this? So this beetle started to chase the honey, thinking that it's going up somewhere, but it didn't know it was on its top of the head. So it started to climb up, up, up. It went. Then it reached near the minister's, that cell. So this guy took hold of the beetle and then he took that string. Then he caught hold of all that. And the story goes that, he came out of it. He jumped through that. He took care of the rope and then he came down and then he escaped. So what he was trying to actually say was, Swami Vivekanand, your body is what? Your beetle with the honey, chasing continuously all your desires. We saw, no? The body continuously going back and forth, back and forth. So the breath is akin to your silken thread. Then your nerve impulses, the nadis, where it goes is your string. Then it crosses over the thought through the twine. Then it catches hold of prana, the rope, where it comes into that central nadi. Then you reach that self where you get that freedom. Freedom from what? Both your physical and mental ailments. That powerful is the breath and prana in your life. If you want to experience life right now while you're living, both are very important. Prana, which is nothing but your life force energy, and breath is just its manifestation. Okay, so I've shared very little. There is so much deep. I can keep on talking on this. But yeah, with this, let me just, I think, okay. I hope you're on time, right? Or did I exceed?
We are in time, doctor, and it was just mind blowing. all the things you told us. My God,
Yeah,
I'm in awe.
it's so excellent, isn't it? It means exciting actually when you learn more and more about prana, what all it can do to you. So sometimes I think like why, people have not really understood this. See how easy to live a very, quality life just by focusing on these simple things. Instead, we are chasing after something and we are like thinking, okay, if I do this, then okay, I'll be happy or my health will be good. But these are simple things and simple techniques by which we can really be happy and peaceful, right? Yeah. You know, I want to also tell you very simple technique to calm down also. There is something called as a five-finger breathing. Anytime you feel there is a stress building up inside you, what you can do is you take your five fingers and then you start to trace from this end of your thumb, let's say. Keep your eyes closed and then you take a slow, deep breath in. Keep breathing, breathing, breathing. You move, come to the tip of your thumb. When you start to breathe out, again slowly and deeply, trace your finger. Then as you ascend up to the next finger, you start to breathe in slowly. Same way you continue breathing down, breathing, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. And then you can reverse back again. You can do that. You can do any number of cycles. This is again a very proven technique to take care of because in this breathing, not only you're breathing, you're also having like a sensory, tactile impulses are also going. So when you do this, they say your endorphins increase in the body. Endorphins are painkillers, natural painkillers in the body, they increase. And then also it helps to calm you down. This technique was proven very effective for people who go into surgery. Suppose you're going for a surgery, you're having anxiety or maybe pain, then you are advised to do this. Not just for surgery, you can do it other times too. Both for your physical, mental pain. This is a very effective modality. Five-finger breathing technique, you can do this. Yeah. Yes. So breath has got that much power. So do not underestimate. That's what I would say. Yes, Shivani, yes, you can take over. Any questions, anything anybody would like to? I
Your
think it's like
energy is
going to bedtime.
contagious. Your
Sorry?
energy is contagious. Your energy is contagious. It
Yeah,
was
my
very,
prana.
very informative and very well liked. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Dr.
Thank
Lalita.
you. Thank you
Thank
so
you. And thank
much.
you, Shivani.
Yes.
You too, girl.
Thank you
Sorry,
so much.
Shivani, you wanted to. Yes,
just
yes,
want
sorry,
to,
Amit, tell me.
yeah, I just want to say that, can we see the practical aspects of it, whatever we discussed today?
Yeah, yeah, of course. One is like, as I said, there are so many pranayams. Maybe Shivani, you can do something.
Okay.
So do we have time? Because we are a little bit short on time.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
We can do
I think
later. I'm just saying that, can we do some practical part of it also sometime later?
Yeah.
Definitely, Amit. So yeah, I'm just going to put my number here in chat so we can connect later and definitely we can discuss and we can practice something.
And I think I see a lot of people have already taken the Sky program, but the Sudarshan Kriya with Dr. Lalita was sharing, this is taught in a weekend workshop, very easy to learn. And anybody who has not learned it, highly recommended because you kind of get the practical aspect. That is totally practical, no theory. And it's actually very interesting. I've been practicing for about 20 years and some of the scientific basis that Dr. Lalita you shared, I'm just learning it myself. I said, oh wow, it all is packaged together in that short 20-minute practice. So highly recommended.
True.
And if you are interested, just reach out to me or Shubhani. We can help you with that. And then there's a detox workshop as well, right? So what you learned today,
Yeah.
just one
Yes.
aspect, one organ. There is heart, there is spine, there is kidney. So there is all these different body parts. And Dr. Lalita does this detox workshop. Every day you pick up one organ and you go through the exercises in experiential, right? A little bit of theory, but experience and Chinese meridian system and mudras and music and everything. So if you want to experience that, anybody who has not done it, I did it around 3 years back, And I was on diabetes medication and blood pressure medication, and everything was becoming worse. And doctors were asking me to pop more and more pills. And I took that workshop, and along with Sky, I'm not taking any of those medications anymore. And touch wood, numbers are all fine. So I'd highly recommend anyone to do it.
Yes, thank you, Rahul. Yes, yeah.